historic vote on the House floor today. Republican Kevin McCarthy has been stripped of his speakership in a 216 to 210 vote. Professor Suzanne Chad from North Central College joins us now to talk about this battle on the House floor and pretty much a battle in the Republican Party. Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Micah.
Now, this vote happened a day after Congressman Matt Gaetz called for a vote to vacate the post. Why so quickly, and what happens to Kevin McCarthy now?
Yeah, it did happen awfully fast. So after the deal was made, McCarthy made the deal with the Senate and with Joe Biden to keep the government open, which as Speaker really is his job to make sure that legislation flows through appropriately. Matt Gaetz took the opportunity to really pounce on this and try to move quickly while the news cycle is still covering it, right? And so as the vote unfolded, we saw those 8 Republicans vote in for the motion to vacate. The Republican conference is going to meet probably in the next 10 minutes or so and chart a plan forward. We're very unlikely to see anything happen tonight. It's likely right now that McCarthy will run again, but I think the conversation and conference tonight is really going to dictate whether he thinks that he has the support to do that.
It wasn't, 1910 was the last time they tried to oust the House Speaker, who was Joseph Cannon. That was not successful. Why was this one so successful 100 some odd years later?
Right. I'll note that Joseph Cannon from Illinois was like wildly unpopular, but still was able to keep his seat, which says something about how much politics has changed in Washington, how fractured the Republican Party is. And being honest, Kevin McCarthy, with the 15 ballots to get him to be Speaker in January, really put himself in this position because he made a concession to the Freedom Caucus that it only would take one vote for a call to vacate the speakership. We knew this was going to happen at some point. We knew that the Freedom Caucus was waiting for enough momentum to try to oust the speaker, and they were able to get that done. And again, I think this concessions McCarthy made in January opened the door for this to happen.
It was almost like sealing his fate, pretty much.
Yes, and that is the power the power he wanted to be the speaker required that he make all of those concessions,
well,
but he's been paralyzed.
He wanted that job so badly that he would make any concession that he did, to do that. Let's talk a little bit about Matt Gaetz, who's trying to settle some sort of vendetta that he has with McCarthy by doing this, so they say. Also, this is kind of making him a star in the Republican Party, isn't it?
And it is something that Matt Gaetz has been striving for. Former Speaker McCarthy pointed out over the weekend that Representative Gaetz seems to be more interested in news interviews than legislating. And his Republican colleagues agree. There's a call to expel him from the conference now. He's not building bridges with this strategy. If he is thinking he wants to run for governor of Florida or senator or president at some point, this is not the path to do that.
He was pretty much cursing the former speaker's name in the media scrum right after the vote.
Yes, trying to, again, say that he has done the right thing. He's the hero in this scenario. He is saving the American people from whatever McCarthy had to do to make these deals with the Democrats. And he is the hero and McCarthy is the villain.
Let's talk about, you touched upon it a second ago, the Republican fracture, the fracture in the Republican Party. It is definitely a fracture, as we see. Before, everyone's talking about the fracture in the Democratic Party. Now the focus is on another party.
Yes, and this is a symbol and a side effect of the Make America Great Again movement that President Trump started, that you have this tight, small group of Republicans, some of which really do believe in cutting government spending and doing everything they can to do that, but others who are just obstructive to be obstructive because the former president has instructed them to do so. And it paralyzes the party to do any governing. And when you can't govern, you don't win elections.
And everyone's talking about the problems, but no one has a solution to it, right?
And this tends to be what happens in the Republican Party in the recent decade, at least, is they complain about a lot of things and they make a lot of noise and then they don't have a solution. And we'll see what comes out of their conference meeting tonight, whether they do have a plan to move forward.
Professor Suzanne Chad, North Central College, always great to talk to you.
You too, Micah. Take good care.
Bye-bye.